Hello, nerds for Yang.
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! So nerds!
Hello, nerd!
Now with this campaign, bang, dang, it's Andrew. Come roll with the Yang Gang.
Hello, nerds. Nerds for Yang. That is right. Nerds for MF Yang. Oh, this is our first solo live stream since New Hampshire. I want to say a day that will live in infamy, but obviously it's not nearly as big of a deal as that for our country's history, but still quite a shock to the system. And I'll be honest with you, I was completely surprised by the campaign's decision to suspend. I mean, obviously, we all knew that this was going to be a long shot race. For some reason, I think even Andrew had talked about this in the early days that, I just expected him to keep going all the way to Milwaukee just to keep the message going. But I also know that, we don't know what Andrew's plans are. So maybe he's got something up the sleeve. Maybe he's got bigger plans. Who knows? Some people are saying that he might run for NYC mayor. That's what Mahler9 thinks. By the way, where are you guys joining from? This is one of the first times I've done a Saturday stream. This is quite late where I'm living in Zurich. But honestly, I felt like I just needed to do another stream, and I felt like, you know what, we should do this, man. We should talk about the race, even if our candidate's campaign is suspended. We got quite a diverse group here. We got Nevada, Alaska, Illinois, Portland, North Carolina. Wow. What a great mix. Maryland, Chicago, Vancouver, South Florida. That's interesting. I guess in Florida, it is quite different between South and North Florida. So I get it. South Florida, Omaha, East Texas, Tampa, another Texas, NYC. Mahler wants wants a new mayor. South Africa. The Netherlands. What happened? Here we go. We got someone from another planet. Tejas. NC. Cupertino. Home of Apple. North Carolina. Vegas, baby. Vegas. Australia. Man. Thoughts and prayers and karma to Australia. You guys are taking it tough. Hopefully that whole climate change thing is gonna get somehow mitigated over time. Not with this president, but maybe with the new president. Cowboys, I'm guessing that means Texas. India, New Jack. Another Australia. Washington State. What a tough, I don't know if you're East or West Washington or if you're a Hawks fan. Skeg Jupat won. Been a tough few months for us, huh? We got the Seahawks getting knocked out of the playoffs, and then we got freaking Yang suspending after New Hampshire. Lake Tahoe, Wisconsin, where Russell Wilson used to play. Cali, Florida, LA, Chicago. All right. Wow, you guys, there's a lot of people, almost 100 people now. Justin O'Neill, thank you for the super chat. You guys might be wondering, like, well, what is Tom going to do with the money? Well, I actually had already commissioned the audio dubbing of some of the Evelyn Yang interviews in Spanish So I wanted to do the right thing and tell the vendor, like, of course we're gonna follow through and pay them for it. So basically, any money that I get from channel memberships or super chat will go towards the Spanish fund. And then I think after I do those Spanish videos, I think I'll take any other money that we get from memberships and super chats, and it'll just go towards the running costs of the channel, like the podcast hosting, some software stuff. If it ever gets to a point where I'm earning more revenue from the channel than I'm spending on the channel, I'll let you guys know, because obviously I'm not trying to quit my day job. All right. Let's get back on the horse, shall we? Shall we do it? Let's look at some data. God, this will be like therapy through data. Singapore. My wife and I met in Singapore, and she's Singaporean. Okay, here we go. Let's look at the polls, shall we? This is so weird that we're doing this with our man no longer officially running. Although I will say that I don't know. I'm not ready to give up yet. So maybe we can unsuspend that campaign if we have a good showing in New Hampshire or something. But right now, it looks like this is I think we've got our new front runner. I am so impressed that Biden is still even second place, given how badly he did in Iowa and New Hampshire. I mean, bro got beat by Klobuchar. Crazy. If you I think it was something like for every 3 people that voted for Biden, there was like 1 Yang Gang. So, I mean, geez, that's oh no. Yeah, I think it was something like that. Well, either way, Biden's not doing well. Bloomberg, look at this. Bloomberg is new third place guy, although Warren is not that far behind. And then Buttigieg is 4th. Klobuchar 5th, and our boy Andrew still hanging in there, although obviously trending down. If you look at the chart, where be the chart? Come on now. Hold on. Sorry, guys. My browser is slow as molasses. Here's the chart. Okay. So you've got Biden having a very strong downward movement. That's not looking good. Although, honestly, I'm impressed that he's not doing worse for 2 reasons. He got his butt kicked in Iowa and New Hampshire as the sitting vice president. And he really, honestly, I watched that New Hampshire debate and I thought he literally looked old. Like, Biden, Sanders, Warren, they're all in their 70s, but there's being in your 70s, and then there's like looking like you're in your 70s. And freaking Biden did not look, strong and vibrant. What else is noticeable here? You've got Bloomberg is the orange. Look at this orange line. The orange line starts, let's get the date down. Hold on. Around, when did we first see Mr. Orange? Wow. Dude was below Yang in the November 18 polls, and then spent $300 million. But in fairness to Bloomberg, not only did he spend $300 million, but Biden really kind of pooped the bed. And so moderates who are not ready for a Sanders presidency and who were thinking that Biden was their safe choice have nowhere else to go. Where are they going to go? I guess some will go to Buttigieg. But honestly, Buttigieg is a young man. I mean, he's like in his 30s, right? I don't know if anybody on the live stream is older than 30. Some of you are. You remember what you were like in your 30s. You were very capable, but you're probably more capable now. At any rate, I know what you're thinking. If you're Mayor Pete supporter, you're probably thinking, well, then by that argument, we should elect Biden. There is probably like a sort of peak sweet spot for your age. I'm not sure what it is, and it's probably different for different people. But Buttigieg, I mean, he's in his 30s. He's the mayor of a town of, 75,000 people, and that's super impressive. But to be the president of the United States is a pretty big job. And so if you ask me, I know a lot of people don't like Bloomberg being a billionaire and spending all this money, but he's probably done more in his life than Buttigieg has. And he's accomplished more and probably learned more lessons. But let's not turn this into a slam fest on Mayor Pete, because who knows, he could become our nominee. And if he does, then I will certainly support him over Trump. Warren, remember there was a point here where Warren looked like she was about to be our front runner? When was that? Let's see. That was around October, early October. Warren was tied with Biden. And then just a really tough trend for Warren. I mean, this whole field looks, can I just say it? Looks weak ass. This is a weak ass field. You've got Biden barely staying relevant. You've got Bernie, who is strong, but like has a ceiling. Like there's just some percentage of the Democratic Party that's going to be crazy in love with Bernie. Maybe call it up to as much as 30%. But then you've got the other 60% of or 70% of the Democratic Party that's not comfortable with Bernie. And they've got nowhere to go. So where are they going to go? They're not going to go to Biden. Many of them don't like Bloomberg because he's a billionaire, because stop and frisk, because he's old too. I get it. But then they're clearly not going to Warren. I mean, 12% at this point, it doesn't seem like she's the ticket that they're ready to buy. And Buttigieg, I mean, impressive that he's gone this far based on, such a short resume. Klobuchar, not the most charismatic, not the most inspiring. Definitely a workhorse, definitely gritty. So I respect that. But when you think about who do you want in the ring with Donald J. Trump, I don't know. None of them look really impressive. Okay. Let's move. So that's the national polls. Now let's move on to the, I guess Nevada's coming up, right, guys? Let's look at Nevada polls. So the last one was actually just closed out a couple days ago. And you've got Sanders at 25. You've got Biden at 18. Somehow. You've got Warren at 13. Woo, look at this. Steyer. We never really talked about Steyer in the national polls, but my understanding is boy dropped some money in Nevada and South Carolina. And you have Steyer, basically tied with Buttigieg and Klobuchar. So if you look at this chart, hold on. Who's this blue? That's Sanders. And then Biden is the green dropping down. Wow. Look at Warren. Warren struggling. Warren seems to have there was one point where she was probably early October, just like the national polls, right? Oh no, in Nevada looks like November at 20%, but never in first. And then you have Steyer, which is this gray line, came out of nowhere. Bro, there was a point, let's see, back in, well, no, Steyer's always been pretty strong in Nevada. I was going to say there was a point where Yang was ahead of Steyer, but I'm not seeing it. No. Wow, look at that. Oh, maybe way back when in August of 19. Yeah. But now you've got Steyer in fourth, but kind of powering up. And so that'll be a battle between Steyer and Warren. It'll be interesting if Warren finishes fourth in Nevada. There, you got to ask yourself, especially if you're a progressive, maybe it's time for Warren to step aside, have her supporters go to Bernie, and then Bernie would have a solid 35% or something, and then we'd have to see who wins the moderate vote. Interesting that Bloomberg is not on here. I guess he's not on the ballot in Nevada, so that's probably why they don't even ask about him. So that's Nevada, and then let's look at South Carolina. South Carolina, we have a very recent poll, just closed out yesterday, has Biden, still strong. I guess no one in South Carolina was watching what happened in Iowa and New Hampshire or doesn't care and is just staying loyal to Biden, which I respect. Although, again, man, that Biden did not look strong, physically. And I know people are going to be out there saying, well, hey, don't judge a person by their looks or whatever, but it is a hard job. That's not a 9-to-5 job. I mean, I guess there are some presidents who treat it like a 9-to-5 job, but it's really not supposed to be. At any rate, that's Biden. And then you got Sanders, number 2. Yeah, look at this. Steyer, number 3. So look at this. If Warren gets number 4, if she gets 4th place, or even worse, 5th, if Buttigieg pulls ahead. If Warren gets 4th place or worse in Nevada and South Carolina, my sense is she'll stick around through Super Tuesday. Seems to me like but I don't know. I think maybe Super Tuesday. Yeah, I would imagine if you're going to go all the way to South Carolina, why not just see what happens in Super Tuesday? Which is kind of part of the reason why I'm so bummed that Yang suspended his campaign. I feel like, I get it, man. Getting 5% in Iowa and 3% in New Hampshire, those are not great numbers, but I feel like we still have some fight in us. But maybe we'll see Yang again. Maybe we'll see Yang again in some capacity. Either if I had my druthers, he would unsuspend his campaign, and the reason why is not necessarily because I think that we have some great shot at getting the nomination, but I think that his message and his voice needs to be heard. And by suspending the campaign, in a way, you kind of turning off your mic. I know we in the Yang Gang are still pushing. I mean, look, we're all here. There's almost 200 concurrent viewers right now, so we all care. So it's not like he suspends his campaign and everything stops, but certainly it doesn't amplify the message when you suspend your campaign. On the other hand, I don't know. I don't know all the details, and the guy freaking devoted 2 years of his life to this movement. So, and maybe he has something, maybe he's playing the long game. Maybe he's got some moves coming up. Anyway, so that's South Carolina. And then Super Tuesday. Let's look at Super Tuesday. Whoa, there's a lot of action Super Tuesday. So here we go. And by the way, this is coming up. Super Tuesday is not that far away. It's only March 3rd. So you've got Sanders, Biden, technically because they average a bunch of recent polls. But if you look at the last couple of polls, Biden's really struggling. He's barely second. He's more like third in California. You got Warren doing well in California. And then Bloomberg. And look at this. Yang, 5%. I guess this poll was Jan 27. So this is does not reflect our suspension. And then Texas, you've got Biden. You got really, if you look at the Tribune survey, you've got Sanders, then Biden, then Warren, then Bloomberg. Yang at 6 ahead of Klobuchar. But again, this was not that. This is pretty recent. This is Feb 9. See? Oh, man. I know. All right, moving on. North Carolina, Feb 5, you've got Biden, then Sanders. Wow, Warren is consistently, I don't know where maybe she's thinking California is really going to be strong for her. I guess a third place finish in California would be, or a second place finish in California. That would kind of put some wind in her sails. Yeah, maybe she thinks. But look at it. Look, Bloomberg's right there. North Carolina, Biden, then Sanders, then Bloomberg is third. Bloomberg's ahead of Warren in North Carolina. In Massachusetts, I would imagine Warren should be crushing it. That's her state, obviously. You've got her. Well, but this poll was in October, so we're not even going to. Oh, man, these polls are freaking old. Look at this. Another one in October. September. All right, here's one. Utah was kind of late Jan. That has Sanders, Warren, Biden. Ooh, look at that. Yang and Buttigieg tied. I can't help but call out Yang's numbers. I know he's suspended. And then really old-ass polls for Colorado and Oklahoma. So I would say, look, people care about California, Texas, and North Carolina because that's where the delegates are. So let's see. If you just focus on those 3 big states for Super Tuesday, you're gonna be really happy if you're Bernie Sanders. I mean, it's very clear. According to polls, he's going to be number 1. Maybe Biden will make it closer. Doubtful. So you got to assume California is going to go to Sanders. For Texas, I don't believe Biden's 22% is, I think that's very optimistic. We know in the polls for Iowa and New Hampshire, they had Biden stronger than he actually delivered. Biden seems to underperform based on his polling numbers. So that's probably going to go to Sanders too. And then North Carolina could potentially still stick with Biden because even if he doesn't come in 25%, but comes in 20%, unless you see some kind of crazy Bloomberg surge, it could be for Biden. So I guess when I would look at the Super Tuesday polls, it's a good Biden story. So zooming out, when we look at these polls, I would say it's Bernie time on the polls, unless the moderates get their act together and stop splitting between Bloomberg, Biden, and Buttigieg. I mean, look at that. If Bloomberg, Biden, and Buttigieg combined into one candidate, let's just look at the data. Let's be very clear here. Let's look at this. So we said, oh yeah, look, California is for sure Sanders. He's crushing it. He has 30%, right? Now imagine Biden's, and then you say, well, Tom, you're going to add up all the moderates. That's not fair. Fine. We'll add up Warren. Assume all of Warren's supporters went to Sanders. That's still 45. But if you add up Biden 15, Buttigieg 23, then Bloomberg 27, Klobuchar and Yang another, it'll be 35. It'd be kind of tied almost. So that is interesting. It's interesting. Where the hell? Yeah, look at that. Oh, I guess for California, really almost half of the Democratic Party is pretty, progressive, let's say. And then if you look at Texas, so let me correct myself. Bernie is strong no matter what, even if all the moderates combine in California. Because if you assume the progressives combined, then they would actually probably have a little edge over the moderates in California. Now, if the moderates converge and Warren stays in the race and continues to split, let's say Warren doesn't drop out, but let's say Biden does. So his 21, let's say either gets added to Buttigieg or Bloomberg, and now you're at 31, 35, probably because you'll pick off some Klobuchar people, to Sanders 25 and Warren's 20. So even in California, you could see a moderate win. Maybe a lot of it really depends on, for all the Bernie supporters out there, I don't think I need to tell you this, but this really depends on how long Warren decides to stay in the race. Because if she sticks in there and doesn't go away, but the moderates start converging with, obviously the big move would be a Biden suspension. If Biden stays in, then and Warren leaves, then Sanders locks up that progressive wing, comes in Texas like 39%. And then you've got Biden, Bloomberg, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar just splitting their support. Oh my God. This is frightening. I mean, if you're a Bernie supporter, you're loving this. But if you want to win and you believe that to beat Trump, we need someone that's more moderate and isn't, quote unquote, super progressive, then you're really scared right now. So let me summarize the polling numbers this way. If you are a progressive, you want Warren to probably leave because she's not going to make it. She has under-delivered in Iowa and New Hampshire. And Bernie's freaking strong. So if you're a progressive, let's not mess around, just converge. Now, if you're a moderate, you probably want Biden to get the hell out of town because he's sucking up all this moderate support and then preventing Bloomberg or Buttigieg, I suppose, from consolidating that moderate support. Anyway, so that's the polls. Now, let me just see if there's any interesting chats before I go to some more interesting polling data that isn't the horse race stuff. Okay, so it looks like some people are... Well, let me go to the Discord server because I have a members only Discord server. By the way, if any members are in this chat on this stream right now, you should know that you can always go here, and I'll just try and keep a special eye to that Discord server. That's just the members only one. All right. So let's see what other people are saying in the general chat room. So some people are saying that, hey, I came in for Yang. I'm not going anywhere. Is there betting on Yang coming back into the race? That's a good question. There's definitely betting on Yang, still getting the nomination. We're going to go into the betting data, but I don't think there's any specific betting on Yang unsuspending. Not that I know of, but there might be. Zishan Ale, liking the Panerai. Yeah, this is a very cool one in that it doesn't have the brand name on it. It just says Marina Militare, which is Italian for Navy. I'm a Bernie hating uber progressive. Okay, so Trent and Tampa, you got a problem. not because you're an uber progressive or that you're a Bernie hater, but your problem is that who are you going to support? Warren is not. She's not getting the progressive support. She gets, for every 2 Bernie supporters, she only gets 1. So, I think that's going to be a tough road to hoe. She's either going to need Bernie, something crazy to come out where Bernie, dude had a heart attack and it didn't hurt his support. So I don't know, man. I know she tried to make the whole thing about him saying that she couldn't win because she was a woman a big deal, but I don't think that has really harmed him. And I think a lot of people don't think that Bernie's a sexist, misogynistic person. So I don't think that attack line is going to work with Bernie. And I think Warren can't challenge Bernie on the economics because she tacked very far to left when she started. So she's kind of in a really hard spot, in my opinion. All right. RG says he'd prefer Bloomberg. I would too. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I like Bloomberg. Dude's smart. Obviously really like successful as a businessman. I like the candidates that inspire me. I don't feel like Bloomberg is super inspiring. He feels like a kind of guy that you'd want, like, running a bank or running a big like industrial company. There could be worse people in the White House for sure. And he would be way better than the current president, who is freaking unhinged after that impeachment thing, which he claims was a complete exoneration. Now he's just like interfering with like DOJ investigations and stuff, but we're not going to turn this into a rant on Trump. But he does suck. Any rate, Tamara, I voted for Bernie, then Yang came along. It's hard to go back. It is hard to go back, right? Isn't it hard to go back? I was saying this on Twitter a couple days ago, that Yang dropping out, it's like you might have been in a relationship like, back in the day, and you really dug this other person and you thought they were great. They're fantastic. But then you split up with them, and then years pass, and then you're like, oh, actually that person was like freaking kind of awesome, kind of amazing. And I feel like that about Yang. Like, I always love Yang. I'm freaking nerd for Yang. But now that he's gone, and I got to look at these other choices, and you're like, what? I guess I'll go with Bloomberg or Pete. Yeah. They ain't no Yang. Listen, I know Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang was a guest on Nerds for Yang. Mayor Pete is no Andrew Yang. And neither is Mike Bloomberg. So for all you Pete people, I'm not just hating only on Pete, and neither is Warren. Now, I will say Bernie has a little more charisma than the others. But I don't know. I just feel like he wouldn't be able to get anything done. He would divide. I don't know that he would unite the country. At any rate, okay, so let's go on to some more. Let's go on with some more data. Let's get some data therapy, friends. Okay, here we go. I think I have the Economist YouGov data somewhere here. I thought I had that thing. Here it is. Let's go deep into the data. Here's something interesting before we go into the sort of horse race. Check this out, man. If you look at Russia, do you consider Russia to be an ally or enemy of the United States? Friends, nerds, countrymen, it's not a freaking hard question. Right? This is not a hard question. Do you consider Russia, the country that interfered in our last election, that hacked the Democratic National Committee email servers, that released the Democratic nominees' emails, embarrassing emails to WikiLeaks? Are they an ally or an enemy? The country that invaded Ukraine, that invaded the Crimea, that not only invaded, took over the Crimean Peninsula. Are they an ally or enemy? Well, what do Americans say? Let's look at the data. It looks like 12%. No, let's not even that. 5%, 1 out of 20 Americans consider Russia an ally of the United States. 12% think that they're friendly to us. And so 17% of Americans, almost 1 out of 5, believe that Russia is either an ally or friendly. Okay, that's kind of crazy right off the bat, right? But then when you look at by party ID, what percent of Republicans think that Russia is an ally or a friend? 7% of Republicans consider Russia an American ally. 7%. And 20% of Republicans consider Russia friendly towards it. The country that has tried to manipulate our democracy, 27% of Republicans, sorry, not I don't want to smear the Democrats here. 27% of Republicans, okay? This is the party where at Republican rallies they chant USA, USA, right? And now they're saying Russia is an ally or friendly. Okay, I'm not gonna I don't want to get too angry about that shit, but that's fucking crazy. Sorry for swearing. Very upsetting. What about South Korea? Just for shits and giggles. 8% of Americans think South Korea is an enemy of the United States. South Korea. Okay, now I don't want to rip on the Republicans. At least only 6% of Republicans think that South Korea is an enemy, but 10% of Democrats think that South Korea is an enemy. I don't know. I mean, there's certainly a economic competitor, with the Samsung and Hyundai, but an enemy, South Korea. All right. Obviously, those people I imagine, are confusing North Korea and South Korea. And you know what? Hey, if you're not thinking about this stuff all the time, I don't blame them. What about United Kingdom? Who the heck would think United Kingdom was an enemy? Okay, great. So only 2% of Americans consider the UK to be an enemy. Thank you. There's some sanity left in this data. All right, now let's go back and look at favorability. Favorability of, we'll do Buttigieg, Bloomey, and Bernie, let's say. Should we we'll also look at Yang, just for old time's sake. But let's look at Buttigieg first. Buttigieg has 25% very unfavorable, but that includes Republicans. So let's look at Democrats. 9% very unfavorable, 13% somewhat unfavorable, and a good third of Democrats have very favorable views of him. And then with Republicans, about 65% are either somewhat or very unfavorable. So you've got basically, that's an interesting number that not only, but 15% of Republicans have a favorable view of Buttigieg, because I know Buttigieg often talks about how he can win over Republicans and independents. And with independents, he does have about 28%, 11 plus 17 favorable. So Buttigieg, pretty good with Democrats and pretty good with independents, about, almost a third. Not so good with Republicans. What about Bloomberg? Bloomberg, if I had to guess, Bloomberg is probably going to not be as good with Democrats, but let's see. With Democrats, no, actually, he's pretty good. 27 and 34. So, 61% favorable. Similar favorability to Buttigieg. 25% with independents. So actually, independents, not as good with independents as Buttigieg was, as far as my recollection is, but way better with Republicans. He can get 18% of Republicans having some level of favorability. So that's an interesting one, that he has 25 with independents, and Buttigieg, sorry to keep going back and forth, guys, but this is real time. Buttigieg had 28% with independents. So that's interesting in that you could have assumed that Bloomberg would be stronger with independents. Turns out Bloomberg is stronger with Republicans than Buttigieg, but comparable with independents. And they're also comparable with Democrats. So I don't know. I would say that's encouraging for Bloomberg. And then let's look at Bernie Sanders. Where the heck is favorability of Bernie Sanders? There it is. So Sanders, wow, really strong favorability. 71% with Democrats. This is Sanders. 71% with Democrats. Oh, Sanders does really good with independents too. Better than Bloomberg and Buttigieg. 34. And he even has 17% of Republicans. Whoa. Respect to the Bernie bros. All right. I got you. Maybe Bernie could do it. All right. Let's see about, do you want to look at Warren? Okay, why not? Let's look at Warren. Warren, good with Democrats. Also 70 something. So Buttigieg and Bloomberg are not as good with Democrats favorability wise. She's okay on the independents, similar to Buttigieg and Bloomberg. I don't think as good as Bernie. And actually, surprisingly, not terrible with Republicans. Wow, it's interesting. I think Buttigieg is the worst with Republicans, right? She has 14 with Republicans. And what did Buttigieg have? Buttigieg is 15 with Republicans. Okay, so Warren's even worse than Buttigieg, or roughly the same. But I would say Bernie's the big horse, the best racehorse. And then let's just for giggles look at Steyer and then Yang. So Steyer, in terms of favorability, you've got okay. 40, about 50% with Democrats, not that good. Not that good with Republicans, only 12%. And okay with independents. So I think Steyer's strength is probably with the black vote, maybe? Yeah, with the black vote, 31% favorable. And 38 with Hispanics. 31 and 38, remember that. So that's Steyer with the black vote. Now, what about Buttigieg and the others with the black vote? All right, hold on. Where is it? There it is. Buttigieg, black, 24 and 35. Man, not terrible. but only 24% of blacks have a favorable view of him. A lot of people don't know him at all, and a third of blacks have an unfavorable view of Buttigieg. But I don't know. I thought he would have. I was liking Buttigieg was weaker with blacks, but 25% favorable. And then let's see what about Bernie with the black vote. Come on, Bernie. Bernie with black. Ooh, way stronger than Buttigieg. Over 54% and then 43 on Hispanics. Wow. Wow. Okay. So we looked at Steyer. Now let's, for old time's sake, let's look at our man, Andrew, Mr. MF Yang. Okay, so Yang, he's got nice favorability with Democrats. 20 and 39. So he's got almost 60% with Democrats, 21 with independents, solid. Ooh, 20 with Republicans. So Yang and Bernie are probably the strongest in pulling Democrats over. I'm sorry, pulling Republicans over. And then with the black vote, Yang had 38%, almost 40% favorability, and then 36% with Hispanic. So, but old Yang only has 37 with white voters. This is total, so that includes Republicans. 37 with the whites. What about Buttigieg and Sanders with the whites? Let's see. So Yang has 37 with the whites. Buttigieg has also 36 with the whites. So Buttigieg is not doing that good with the whites either. What about Sanders? Who's going to get stronger white vote? 39. So Sanders is a little bit stronger. And what about with Blumey? Blumey with the whites. Ooh, 33. Wow. Who do the whites support? Jesus. They're not very favorable about the people we've been looking at. Maybe they're favorable. Well, let's look at Trump with the whites. Let's see. Do we have it? Favorability of Donald Trump? What? I don't see it in this survey. That sucks. Who would you think the white vote? Maybe Klobuchar might have more favorability. Oh, well, let's look at Biden, of course. Ooh, Biden's not that favorable with the whites, but he's got over 50 with the blacks, almost 60. And then Hispanic, he's got 44. And then Biden has nice favorability with the Democrats and in the independents and decent with the Republicans. So in terms of favorability, Biden is still strong, but I think people may have a favorable view of someone, but still not be ready to want them as president. Okay. So I think we looked at a lot of polling data and we looked at the favorability. Now let's look at the betting odds. Oh, wow. We have over 200 concurrents. I was wondering if people would still watch this channel after our candidate suspended. So I just want to say thanks, guys, for sticking around. I know a lot of people, to be honest, though, a lot of people did unsubscribe from Nerds for Yang right after that suspension of the campaign. But just so you know, I plan on uploading as long as you guys are out there watching. Okay, so let's look at betting odds. Here we go. Looks like the gamblers are thinking Bernie and then Bloomberg and then Biden and then Buttigieg. Wow, yeah. And then it really falls off a cliff. Oh yeah, Yang dropped. Damn. He used to be a little way up. I mean, those gamblers, they move fast. And I will say these betting odds are way better predictors of primary outcomes than Google search and Twitter following data. Although we'll share that, but I mean it's an interesting juxtaposition, which is why is it that people who are searching on Google for information about a candidate are not showing up at the polls in similar rates? Maybe they don't like what they see, or maybe the people who participate in these primaries are just representative of a very small slice of America and not representative of America the way, let's say, Google is. If there were a Google primary, we would still be in. But at any rate, for the betting odds, it looks like old Bernie and Bloomberg. Wow, look at this. Remember when they used to say Oscars so white? We should just say Democrats so white. My God, the first three are over 70. And then you've got like a 25-year-old. So weird. Okay. If only we had a candidate in their mid-40s who had kids, who's lived a little, who's had success, who's had failure, who's worked in the private sector, who's worked at nonprofits, who's forward-thinking, who's a person of color, who liked math. Know anybody? Anyway, so that is the betting odds. Gamblers like either Sanders or Bloomberg, and they are not feeling Biden at all. They're paying 3 times more for a bet on Biden than they'll give you for Bernie, and they'll pay twice as much for a Biden bet as they'll give you for a Bloomberg bet. And you know the House usually wins. So that's one betting market. There's another gambling market. Okay, I'm sorry. Elizabeth Norris. I am not hating on white people. And I know there's plenty of white people in the Yang Gang, and I love all Yang Gang. I'm just saying our current candidates look like they all come from one ethnic background. And I wish they looked more like the country, which is a little bit more a variety. Okay, let's go to, I think I had the election betting odds site as well pulled up. Give me one momento. There it is. Okie dokie. Let's say the last 7 days or last week. So this is a different set of data, but also around gambling odds. Similar ranking: Bernie, Bloomberg, Biden. But it's funny. The gamblers think Biden and Buttigieg have almost the same chance. And that Hillary Clinton, Jesus, I don't know, man. If she, I don't think that would be a good outcome. I don't think that would work. But at any rate, these three are the, according to electionbettingodds.com, which pulls their data from Betfair. All right. So TLDR, gamblers are thinking Bernie, and polls are showing great Bernie support, and favorability shows great Bernie support, even with independents and Republicans. Yeah. Interesting. All right. So let's see. Moving on. So we did that betting thing, did that. Let's look at, Yes, I am extra sweary today. I'm sorry, guys. And I know I feel like some people had complimented me earlier saying, oh, we really like your channel because you don't swear a lot. I grew up in New Jersey, and I'm fucking pissed, guys. I'm fucking pissed. I am. I feel like we were not ready to give up yet, and it just happened too fast for me. I was prepared for a post Super Tuesday suspension. But again, like, come on, man, this family gave so much for their campaign. If Andrew wants to suspend, that's his call. And our movement lives on. And it's bigger. And frankly, it's bigger than Andrew now. And I think that Andrew will come back in some way or fashion, as a Veep or as a secretary of something or as a czar of something. I mean, he's definitely on the national stage. It's just really hard to read the news and hear this freaking chaos from the White House and be like, well, what are our alternatives? And then you look at this list and you're like, none of these seem as good as Yang. Someone made a good point. Let's see here. Yamashita Maki was saying, well, he may not have been able to fund it. He couldn't carry on. I buy that. He probably was running out of money. There was, I'm guessing, I know this is just like armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback kind of thing, but like he didn't need to run a multi-100-person campaign. Like I think the Yang Gang would have supported him if it was just him and Zach in a Ford Taurus. But obviously that's a lot to ask of him. But we would have showed up, we would have listened, and we would have volunteered, even if he kept coming in at a few percent. I really believe that. And I know it. I know, in fact, I know it because look, he suspended his campaign and we're all here, 200 concurrent viewers on this little tiny YouTube channel. And then on Twitter, obviously way more people. And then people are, that I see with my friends and at work and, on the weekends talking about the race, like there's a lot of people that are still talking about Yang and his ideas. All right, let's move on to more data. Let us self-soothe with data. Whoops, just opened the wrong app. Hold on. Here we go. Let's look at Google search data. So who are people searching for? Let's say the last 7 days. All right, so a lot of people were searching for this blue line, which is Andrew MF Yang on Feb 12th. I don't even remember when the hell New Hampshire was. Let's see, when was New Hampshire primary? It's all a blur, guys. It was on Feb 11th. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So a lot of people were probably searching to see what happened. Did he really suspend? And then if you say, okay, let's look at the past day. It looks like people are searching mainly for Bernie and then Buttigieg and then Klobuchar, Warren, and Yang. Still some Yang searches in there, comparable to Warren searches, frankly. More people are searching for Klobuchar than Warren. Not a good sign for Warren. And then if you look at where there's the most, wow, look at that, all purple. This is all purple is Bernie. He's winning in all states in terms of search interest. We should probably keep it real, and I don't want to pine for our boy Yang. So let's remove him since he's suspended. Oh, God, I never thought I'd do that. And then add Bloomberg. Ah, interesting. Look at this. Old Bloomy is numero dos. More searches for Bloomberg than Buttigieg. Bloomberg is the purple. And then, oh, look, there's one state, in fact, where there's nominally more searches for Bloomberg than Sanders in Mississippi. Other than that, Sanders is running the show. Buttigieg is most strong in Nevada, which is good for him, for Buttigieg support. Klobuchar, also strong interest for her in Nevada. Warren. Why are people searching for Ashley Judd for Warren? I don't know. Maybe she endorsed Warren. Then Bernie, they're looking for his home state. Bloomberg, a bunch of random kind of searches. But TLDR, I would say, is people on the interweb are searching a lot for Bloomberg and a lot for Bernie. And a decent amount for Pete as well, in fairness. Now, if you go and break it down and say, well, let's see specifically in Nevada, it's very close, a bit of a dogfight, but numero uno is Bernie, then Buttigieg. Oh, well, I guess Bloomberg isn't in. I don't even think he's on the primary. I don't think he's on the ballot in Nevada, but Klobuchar is kind of close to, interested in Klobuchar, not much in Warren. Seems like Warren's kind of drifting off. And then if you say South Carolina, looks like what? South Carolina, wow, Bernie strong, then Buttigieg, then Bloomberg. And then let's do the biggest Super Tuesday state where all the delegates are. California. Who are the Californians searching for? Bernie freaking Sanders. Then Bloomberg. Then Buttigieg. It seems like these are the three, man. A battle between Sanders, Bloomberg, and Buttigieg. But if you combined Bloomberg and Buttigieg's volume, it would just tie Bernie. Wow. Who knows? Maybe Bernie will be our nominee, huh? All right. And then let's look at YouTube. YouTube searches. We'll do national. It's so weird not looking at Yang data, though. God. So weird. Bernie's the big dog, followed by Buttigieg, Bloomberg too, but Bernie, wow, freaking Bernie. Let's just, since there's so little searching for on YouTube for Warren, let's just, for old time's sake, remove her and add our boy back. Andrew Yang. Unsuspended. YouTube in the past day. Yang, where are you, my boy? Oh, he's kind of tied with Bloomberg and Buttigieg. Oh, no. Remember when we used to rule? Look at this. Let's go back past 30 days. United States. Yang is the purple. Yeah, remember, look at these days when we were right there up there with Sanders. And then if you do 90 days, there was a point where we were like the leader. My recollection. Yeah, the purple. We're the purple. Yang is the purple on this chart. I mean, we were crushing it on YouTube. Still doing pretty good. I mean, if you look at the last day, Yang is still second on Feb 12th. That was right after the day after. Okay. So TLDR is, again, Bernie, strong on the Google searching and on the YouTube searching. And you see a little bit of Bloomberg perking up and Buttigieg, but they're frankly far, far below Bernie right now. All right, now let's look at the Twitters. Let's look at the Twitters. Where be the Twitter data? There it is. Okay. So unfortunately, guys, we're going to have to change again my normal data look. We used to focus on Yang, Buttigieg, and Warren. It just goes to show you how this race has changed. So I think to keep it real, we should now look at Bernie, Buttigieg, and Bloomberg, frankly. I can only do 3 at a time with this Twitter data. So let's see. Bernie Sanders. Let me look up his handle. I wonder if I should do Sen Sanders or Bernie Sanders. Let's see which one has more. Bernie Sanders has 10.5 million. Probably that's the one. Sanders. And Sen Sanders has 9 million. Yeah, I think Bernie Sanders will do. Hold on. So we're going to go here. We're going to change out Andrew Yang. Just one last look at Yang. He was the red. He was closing on Buttigieg, and he was adding a lot more than Buttigieg. But if you look at the last few days, he was adding more than Buttigieg and Warren every day. But then once he suspended his campaign, he drifted off. Look at this. On Feb 15, he only added 1,000, and Buttigieg added 4,000, and Warren 2,000. So moving on. Sadly, until you unsuspend, my friend. We got Bernie Sanders, Buttigieg, and then let's do Bloomberg. What's Bloomberg's handle? Mike Bloomberg. Hold on. Mike Bloomberg. Okay, good handle. Go back to the right tab. Mike Bloomberg. All right, let's see. Survey says that Bernie's the big dog with damn near 10.5 million followers. And then, wow, look, Bloomberg has more followers than Buttigieg, although Bloomberg's had his account for a while with all the activism he's been doing. But then if you look at daily additions, what in Christ happened here? Jesus. I'm going to have to guess that on Feb 14, Bloomberg must have spent a crap ton of money because he added 72,000 followers in one day, whereas Buttigieg and Sanders added like 6,000 and 7,000 and 12,000 respectively. So let's go back one day because that's just Bloomberg flexing. Let's go to okay, if you go to Feb 13, Bloomberg added 7, Buttigieg 9, Bernie 23. If you go to Feb 12th, Bloomberg added 10, Buttigieg 7, Bernie 19. Wow, Bernie's strong, man. But then, yeah, look at the power of the MUN. Jesus. That purple has to be a giant Twitter ad campaign. Although Twitter doesn't take ads. So it must have been another campaign and then promoting the Twitter account, I'm guessing. I don't know. Or some gigantic influencer retweeted him or something. Who knows? So TLDR for Twitter is you've got Bernie, very strong, and then a little bit of a dogfight between Pete and Bloomberg, and looking like Bloomberg's making some moves. That's the purple. Look at that. Boom. That's crazy. Okay. So that's the Twitter. I think my takeaway so far is that Bernie's legit. Oh, man. All right. How about media coverage? You guys want to look at media coverage data? Who are the media? Ren is saying Nerds for Humanity when? Oh, I've been talking about changing the name of the channel to Nerds for Humanity. I don't think I'm ready to do that quite yet. I think I'm going to see what Andrew decides to do. And I feel like I need to go through a little bit of a mourning period before we change the name of the channel. But I did talk about that on Twitter, saying like, hey, should we call the channel something else? But for now, we're still Nerds for Yang. Tamara saying, yes, man. Stay Nerds for Yang. Let's see. Okay. Will you bring Pete to Nerds for Yang? If anybody has any connection to the Pete campaign, I would love. In fact, let's see. I think I said that on the Twitters. If you go to my Twitter feed, and please follow me at Nerds for Yang if you don't follow me on Twitter. I think I said something. I did an open invitation. Oh, I can't find it, but we'll just do another one. Is it? There he is. Pete, if you ever want to be a guest on the Nerds for Yang channel, please hit me up. The Yang Gang is an open-minded group, but we want to get to know you better. And NFY interview format is casual. What the? Casual, conversational, and be real. All right. Sent. Doubt he will reply, but more power to him if he does. I personally think that Pete, I don't know, maybe he will. He seems more comfortable, in more formal environments, but maybe he will come on. Okay, so what? Oh, we're going to look at media data. Okay. So let's do this. Media data. Who is the all-powerful media talking about? So if we look at data from the last week, oh, wow, dude, this whole stream is basically, we should call this stream the rise of Bernie Sanders. I mean, dude is kicking ass in the primaries, in the actual votes. Dude is kicking ass in the polls. Dude is kicking ass in the betting odds. Dude is kicking ass in the searches and in the YouTubes. And now media coverage. Like, he had more coverage than Biden. Buttigieg had a good amount of coverage, and then Blumey less. Klobuchar's, starting to compete. Warren got less coverage than Kloby and Blumey. And old Yang down here, 281 mentions compared to how many mentions for Kloby? 2,000. So, I mean, shit, even when you drop out, they don't even talk about you. And then that was on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News mentions. And then let's look at the mentions over time. So each day looks like Sanders he's the light blue. He's crushing it. And then everybody else is just second place. Network television, who are they talking about? Whoa, ABC, CBS, NBC nightly news. They like talking about Bloomy more than Sanders. Then Biden. This is like major establishment. Then you got Buttigieg. Buttigieg is getting some mentions, almost as many. Klobuchar, Warren, and then our boy Yang. And Steyer above Yang. This is mentions over time. Where the hell's Yang? Oh, so basically after he dropped out, he got a mention. Thanks a lot, ABC, CBS, NBC. Worldwide online mentions. A little bit more for Yang in the online world, but still it's a Sanders, Biden, Buttigieg. Sanders, Biden. Wow, Sanders is really crushing it. And then in the chyrons, you know those little things running across the bottom. Sanders, big winner. So, yeah, that's the media coverage. Sanders is running the fucking, excuse me, is late, guys. It's very late at night here. It's actually midnight where I live. Sanders is running the table. So that's that. And then I think that covers most of the data I wanted to hit with you guys. Let me just look one last thing. Sometimes 538 has some cool charts. So let me just quickly do a little. No. Let me just quickly look at that, and then I'll take some questions, and then we'll move on. Is there any charts here? Nah, not that interesting. I think we'll just take some questions. So if you have questions for me, if you have questions for me, go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll try and buzz through some, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, will Yang run in 2024? Well, I would say if Trump wins, then I am almost certain he will run in 2024. That would be my guess. If a different Democrat wins, let's say Bernie wins, he also might run in 2024 because I don't see Bernie running, for re-election. I mean, dude's pretty old. So I guess the answer is yes, because in both scenarios, he will run. Oh, how did my MAGA family members take the news? Gloating. Actually, my MAGA family has been very respectful. I think that's interesting in that, you learn more about the candidate after he leaves. I felt this way when Romney lost, and then he started coming out and doing interviews, and then there was that Netflix documentary. I felt like you kind of get to know people better, and you sometimes even have a more positive feeling about them. And so, yeah, my MAGA family, they never hated Yang. They've always just been extremely defensive about Trump, and just any criticism of Trump will really trigger them. It's ironic because they call me a snowflake, saying, "Oh." And it's like, dude, I say one bad thing about Trump, and you guys lock arms and put on your helmets and shoulder pads. And it's like, dude, come on, clearly this guy's off the rails. Anyway, Tom, your ideal path for Andrew going forward? That's a really cool question. I would say I would love to see him promote basic income, democracy dollars, and human-centered capitalism metrics to be talked about by the candidates. And I would like to see him go out there and beat that drum and basically be the key spokesperson for the Humanity First movement. And we don't need to call it a presidential campaign, but that movement needs a voice. And that voice needs to be heard in Milwaukee. So I don't want to see him just sort of like fade into the background or take a break. I want him to be out there talking about this shit because A, the country needs to hear it. B, those candidates need to hear it. C, even if they win, and if all they do is take us back to, 2015, like that's not really going to solve the problems that the country's facing. That's basically just, taking 2 steps back and then like 1 step forward. So, I would love him to force Humanity First policies onto the national discussion throughout the election. I would, of course, love him to campaign for the nominee. I would love for him to be a cabinet member or VP. Most likely would be cabinet member. I would prefer VP, but I think he'll most likely be cabinet member. And if he's cabinet member, I would love for him to focus on either human-centered capitalism or a pilot of UBI. If he had a progressive, like if he had a Bernie and Bernie wanted to do a pilot, that would be awesome. If he had a Bloomberg, if it's in Bloomberg administration, then maybe you could focus on and be the czar for campaign finance reform, or Secretary of Labor or something like that, or Secretary of Education to focus more on trade and vocational training. I mean, you guys know he's got all these great ideas. And then in 2024, I would love to see him run again. And if he doesn't run for president, I would love to see him in the Senate or maybe mayor. Maybe mayor. He could do it. He might do a really good job as a mayor. And mayor of like a real city, like New York. You know what I mean. Why didn't Yang outperform Klobuchar? Felt like it might be rigged. I think Klobuchar spoke to the moderate vote better than Biden did. And basically Biden's loss was Klobuchar and Buttigieg's gain. And Klobuchar basically picked up the moderates who were uncomfortable with Biden and also probably felt that Buttigieg was too inexperienced. So I don't think it was rigged. I think it reflected the people that show up at these caucuses and primaries. Let's see. Oops. Hold on. Oh. Shit. There's all these questions and something happened with my hold on. Sorry guys, bear with me. The chat window just like jumped and now I lost my place in the I'll just go backwards. Do you think that if Donald Trump wins again, the second term will be brutal? Yes, I do. Because already he's doing crazy stuff. And Rudy Giuliani, I don't know what the heck he's doing over there in Ukraine, still like rooting around. And I feel like Trump believes that because he was not removed from office, that he's now kind of like untouchable. And I think if he gets reelected, like, oh my God, like then he'll really think he's King Donald. And then we're screwed. So yes, it will be terrible for the GOP. And I got to respect Romney for being the only person to say like, you know what, that's not cool. You shouldn't ask foreign countries to be part of your presidential campaign. If he's picked as VP, he might run DC for 16 years, right? Well, if he's picked as VP, I would imagine he would only be VP for 4 years because the person who would make him VP would be pretty old. So I don't think Bernie would be a two-termer, nor Biden or Bloomberg, frankly. If Yang runs again in 2024, what do you think his campaign should do differently? Oh, that's a really cool question. Well, number one, you could argue that his 2024 campaign starts now, which is why I want to see Andrew out there. Of course, he should take some time off and recharge, but we're ready for him. And I think it also shows that his message, like it needs time and people need to get to know him. And I would imagine if he ran again in 2024, he'll be a much more well-known figure just based on what he's done so far. The other thing is, he let go of a lot of the people on the campaign team in Iowa. It could have been for money reasons, but, the performance wasn't there. I don't know what the hell they did. I know everybody worked really hard in Iowa, and I respect the effort. But you can't argue with the results. Those Iowa results were terrible, and the New Hampshire results are pretty bad too. So, is it all the campaign's fault? Is it the team's fault? No, but I don't know. I think it's possible that, let's just call a spade. Like when he started his campaign, I'm sure. Not every experienced, effective activist in Iowa and New Hampshire had the foresight to join his campaign. And so for 2024, I think we need to put together a campaign team that can deliver more. I think we need a candidate who can find that balance. Like, I think Yang obviously is amazing. I think in the early days, because he was so informal, sometimes too informal. So like the whipped cream stuff or the swearing. I know I appreciate the irony. I've been swearing like a sailor this live stream, but I'm not running for president. I think the swearing, the whipped cream stuff, maybe even the crowd surfing didn't really come across super presidential and may have turned off some moderates and older, voters who are more conservative socially. So I would do that differently. So I would probably retool the team, try and find that balance, which I think he had later in the campaign, where he was still informal and friendly and had a good sense of humor, but didn't quite swear or go quite as informal to appear unpresidential. And then I think the third thing is we got to crack this debate format, because just answering the question that's asked of you in a very concise way, doesn't do it. Now, I don't want to turn him into a politician. So, but the approach that we had this time didn't work. So we would have to make some changes, in my opinion. All right. I think Yang, if he doesn't run and if he's not full-time surrogating for whoever the primary winner is, he should start a nonprofit or I was about to say PAC. I guess that's probably be bad, but he should start a movement where we raise money to support congressional candidates who are running on a UBI Democracy Dollar platform. And if you support those things, then we want to help get your voice up. And I think that'd be great. And that's what if you really want to get those ideas through, you can't just elect the president. You gotta stock the Congress with believers. All right, let's see. Who is more likely to recruit Yang for high office, Biden or Bloomberg? I think Biden loves Yang. If you watch their interactions after the debates, and from what I've heard from people who might know, I think Biden and Yang get along great. The problem is that he's not going to be our nominee. So there's nothing that Biden can do for Yang. Maybe, if anything, if Biden were to drop out and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to support whoever, and then somehow say, and I really think this Andrew Yang guy has a bright future, that would be awesome. But I don't think Biden will recruit Yang for high office because Biden won't be in a position to. I think Bloomberg would be very open to some kind of cabinet or czar role for Yang, but not VP. I think Bloomberg is going to need someone maybe like a Klobuchar. Maybe like a Klobuchar, or maybe that person that everybody talks about in Georgia. What is her name? Ah, shit. You guys know who I'm talking about. The one that basically everybody says is going to be VP. Ah, shit. What is her name? Hold on. Georgia VP in waiting. Let's see if Google will give me an answer. I thought she was from Georgia. Did you guys say it in the Stacey Abrams? Thank you. Thank you, Patricia, Joy, Catherine. Wow, you guys all knew. Yeah, Stacey. Wow, shit, man. I'm the only one who can't remember. It's late here. Wow, Jesus, you guys are on fire. Okay, yeah. So I think Biden will, I think Buttigieg will more likely choose someone like an Abrams or a Klobuchar for VP, because they're, that will give the Bloomberg ticket more DC experience. If you had Biden, he would probably go for maybe even a Warren or an Abrams, but maybe more like a Warren. Yeah, Biden would probably go for a Warren because he already has good black support. What he doesn't have is like progressive support. He'd want to kind of make sure the women turn out. And then, so you got Bloomberg, Abrams, Biden, Warren, Bernie. Who would Bernie pick? That's interesting. Ooh, who would Bernie pick? Probably Abrams. At any rate. Okay, some people are saying Biden is still viable. All right, well, if Biden's still viable, that's good for Yang, because I think of all the candidates that like Yang, it's Biden that likes him the most. Let's see. What other questions are there? Maybe I got through all the questions. Someone saying Gen X likes the crowd surfing. Yeah, I know, but the old people don't like it. I'm still so. When will it stop hurting? I agree. It hasn't stopped for me. And you know what's interesting? I don't hear a lot of Booker or Castro or Beto people. I think when all those guys left, it felt like, I don't know, maybe it's just bias because I was so fired up about Yang during that time. But I feel like our movement has more staying power than those other candidates. Because when those other candidates left, like, who's talking about Beto's ideas or Castro's ideas or Booker or Harris's ideas? But at least 250 of us right now are talking about humanity first ideas. Okay. Let's see. What is your opinion on still voting Yang in the primaries for those of us in states that vote later? I say go for it. Here's why. You're not taking away votes from the Democrat in the general election because it's not the general. Of course, when the general comes, my recommendation would be to vote blue. But during the primaries, there's no benefit to voting for your second choice, because if you were in Yang Gang, unless you really like that second choice and you're like, oh man, I know Bernie's really strong and I love I prefer Pete over Bernie, so I want to make sure Pete has a chance. Okay, fine. Then you can go switch over to Pete. But if you're like me, if you're like freaking A, man, this whole crowd is like such JV compared to Yang, then I would still vote for Yang in your primary. And what it will do is it gives Yang and the Humanity First movement more credibility. Oh, Drew, interesting question. What was the beginning then? I think it was missing the debate. I agree with you. Some people will say, well, look, these debates don't really affect things. But the thing that voters told pollsters they cared most about was electability. And when you are not present on the debate stage before the Iowa caucuses, you don't look electable. Now, we were on the debate stage before New Hampshire, and that performance was just weak. It was weak sauce. I know Yang had good answers, but he, in my opinion, did not, maybe it's just not in him to be like super annoying and aggressive, which is kind of like admirable. I'm not saying he needed to go like full Gillibrand, but I don't know. Klobuchar, I think she was kind of feisty and got in without being like annoying. So I think she found a way to kind of thread that needle. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions, and then we'll wrap it. All right, I think we got most of the questions answered. So if I didn't answer your question, go ahead and type it in now. Oh, did I watch the interview between Padgett and Quintus Jet? I haven't. I've heard about it, and I will be chatting with Padgett on her channel, on her live stream. She and I are going to have a discussion tomorrow. So if you're around, go ahead and check out Padgett's channel tomorrow, or if you want to see it on replay, I'm sure it'll be available. But no, I haven't seen that interview yet. I've been slammed at work this week, sadly. Do you know why Obama called Yang? I don't know, but I know Obama was supposed to meet with Yang before, and I'm guessing he decided not to because he didn't want to appear to endorse Yang. I'm also guessing Obama might have called Beto and Harris and I was about to say Biden, Beto, Harris, and Booker. So I don't know if it was that big of a deal that he called Yang. Maybe as a former Democratic president, he calls all the people that drop out. But what's Obama going to do for us? He ain't going to endorse Yang. So what would be nice is if Obama said something nice about democracy dollars or the freedom dividend or UBI and government financed campaign donations, basically. Oh, people are saying Bennett didn't seem bad. Yeah, he's just a long shot, right? And I'm basically thinking this has to be a Bernie Bloomberg battle when it comes down to it. That's my bet. But again, I also predicted that Yang would stay past Super Tuesday, so who knows? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. It's almost 2 hours, and it's 1 a.m. where I live. So goodbye, nerds. Good night, nerds. Thank you so much for joining the stream, for sticking with this channel for a little bit longer. I plan on uploading and covering this race as long as you guys want the content. I'll keep showing you data. I'll keep giving you opinions. I will try to not talk about why I wish Yang were in the race all the time. I tried to keep this one pretty balanced. Of course, I was venting a little bit too, and for all the Pete supporters, like I'll support him if he's the nominee. I supported Hillary, even though she wasn't my first choice last time. So I'm not hating on Pete. I just I find his experience impressive, but still a little thin. And I also find the way he comes off like too scripted and not authentic enough. But I'd love to learn more about him. He's clearly smart. Have a lot of respect for his resume, for the parts that's available. And I know he has a bright future ahead of him. And for all you Biden supporters, I could definitely go for him. Although, like, I feel like he's not all like super vibrant. And then for you Bernie supporters, like, hey, man, you guys have the numbers. So you guys are rolling strong. I love the favorability with independents and Republicans. Maybe he might be the best against Trump. And then for you Bloomy supporters, like, look, as a guy that works in the private sector and, you know, went to business school as well, I would support Bloomberg as well. I just don't find him like super inspiring. Like when he speaks, he seems, kind of like a insurance industry guy. I don't know. Just nothing exciting about Bloomberg personally. But I will pick all of them over Trump. I find Trump to be freaking like dumpster fire. All right, guys, let's look forward. Let's remember that basic income, democracy dollars, freedom dividend, democracy dollars, humanity first, human-centric capitalism. These are all great ideas. They were great ideas 6 weeks ago. They're going to be great ideas 6 weeks and 6 years and 6 decades from now. And so let's see if we can keep that movement going. And Andrew, we're ready for you whenever you want to just like click that unsuspend button. Even if you just fire up the light blue Taurus and drive around, like, we got your back, brother. And we at least have the gas money and the Airbnb money. May not have. I get that maybe you weren't getting as many donations as maybe we could have. After New Hampshire or before New Hampshire, but we have enough money to fund what is most powerful about you, Andrew, which is your narrative, your ideas, your energy. And maybe we don't need like wall-to-wall TV ads for you to have an influence on the course of the country. And maybe we don't need you necessarily in the Oval Office for you to have a massive influence on the country. But we do need your voice and we do need your leadership. So, Andrew, we hope to see you back out there, my friend, in one way or another. And in the meantime, goodbye, nerds.